إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن نبينا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So Alhamdulillah, first and foremost, that our classes are up and running. After having said that, I want you to know that moving forward there's going to be some slight changes, inshallah good changes to the program. We are used to having Fridays and Saturdays as halaqa, and inshallah that won't change. However, in an effort to make it even better than it is, the Friday halaqa will be tied together with the madrasa that is currently running, inshallah. So that means that starting from next week, inshallah, we will have classes not in the usual way, but more on topics that relate to children, education, parenting, and so on, inshallah. And that will be on Fridays, and that class will be downstairs, and it will be a bit more interactive, trying to make the most of that madrasa. And it will be open for parents, for children in the community, and just adults in general. Anyone that wants to participate in the same way that you're participating tonight, inshallah, that will be available as well. And Saturday we'll resume the normal halaqa that we do up here, but starting next week we will change the topic. Up to now we've been going through the hadith, and we've been doing that for some time, and alhamdulillah with tonight's hadith we will have reached half of this collection of a hadith, so we will start with something different next week. So since I know some of the parents and children that were participating in the halaqa, in the madrasa afwan, they are still here, we will take that in consideration, and we will try to make the halaqa tonight short but still beneficial. So this hadith is numbered as hadith number 42. Or sorry, this hadith is hadith number 21, and it goes as following. It says, عن أبي عمرو وقيل أبي عمرة سفيان بن عبد الله رضي الله عنه قال قلت يا رسول الله قل لي في الإسلام قلت يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قل لي في الإسلام قولا لا أسأل عنه أحدا غيرك قال قل آمنت بالله ثم استقم رواه Muslim. So the translation of this hadith is that on the authority of Abu Amr, his companion, Waqil, and it has been said that his name was Abi Amr, Sufyan bin Abdullah radiallahu anhu. This companion, he asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, saying to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, O Messenger of Allah, tell me something in Islam. قُلْ لِي فِي الْإِسْلَامِ قَوْلًا. Tell me something in Islam that I do not have to ask anyone other than you. And the Prophet ﷺ told that companion, قُلْ, say, آمَنْتُ بِاللَّهِ ثُمَّ اسْتَقِمْ. Say, I believe in Allah, and then become upright, become steadfast. So this hadith, obviously, even though it is so short, it has tremendous benefit and tremendous implications. First of all, the scholars in Islam, they bring our attention to how the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, they would ask questions to those who had knowledge. Okay. And this should be obvious to us. But today, sadly, it is not that obvious. A person has a religious question, that they want an answer to. Instead of seeking out the people of knowledge, the Ahlul Ilm, they go and they ask their friends, or they ask any random person. And they say, I've done this and that, or what do you think about this? And they don't think of it as wrong. But if you change the situation, you will realize how wrong that practice is. Imagine for a moment, if a person had a heart problem, you feel a pain, a sharp pain in your heart, and it worries you. And it worries you so much that you want to ask what is going on. So you leave your house and you see a person that's jogging, running, just minding their own business. And you stop the person and you say, I have a heart problem. Can you give me some advice? Or can you perform surgery? I have a problem with my heart. Sounds foolish, sounds stupid. No one would ever do that. When you need medical advice, you seek out a doctor. And you don't seek out a shady, a strange doctor. Someone that is working in a back alley. They'll tell you, I'll do whatever you want, $100. No, you seek out the best medical help that you can get. Same thing with financial advice. Any type of advice, you go to the people who you know have knowledge about it. And that's how we move in life. But when it comes to religion, it's suddenly different. Suddenly everyone becomes a scholar. So suddenly, just because a person knows how to recite the Quran, they start answering fiqh questions. When in reality, the two things they do not go hand in hand. Meaning every qari of the Quran, every hafiz of the Quran is not necessarily a sheikh. A person can be very good at reciting the Quran, but when it comes to Islamic knowledge about the Sharia, they might not have much. So the scholars, the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, they didn't just ask any random person. When the Prophet ﷺ was alive, they would ask him. And if they couldn't get hold of the Prophet ﷺ, they didn't ask just any companion. They would go to the companions that the Prophet ﷺ had vouched for. Abu Bakr, they would ask. Umar, they would ask. Mu'ad, they would ask. People who they knew had knowledge about the religion. So they would ask these questions. And this is following a clear hadith of the Prophet, a clear verse in the Quran, where Allah Azza wa Jal instructs us. Allah Azza wa Jal says, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of remembrance, the people with the knowledge. And this is implemented in all aspects of life, not just religion. You don't go and ask the Imam of the Masjid about medical advice. In the same way, just because a person is educated, a professor in, let's say, finance, you don't ask them about aspects that they do not know. And it highlights another point that the scholars mention, is this hadith shows us that the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, they would ask the Prophet ﷺ for general advice. Sometimes we ask a person of knowledge when something happens to us. When something happens to us, we run to the Imam, we run to the Sheikh, we run to someone and we say such and such happened. This is a good practice, there's nothing wrong with that. But you'll see that the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, they would seek out the Prophet ﷺ even when things were going well. Some of them would even ask the Prophet ﷺ about things that hadn't happened. They would ask him about the fitan, the trials and tribulations that would happen in the future. And they would ask questions so that when it would happen, they would know what the Prophet ﷺ had said about it. So in this particular hadith, we learn that this companion is asking the Prophet ﷺ about general advice. Teach me something about Islam that I don't have to ask anyone else. And one point that we mentioned before is, whenever the Prophet ﷺ is getting these questions from his companions, he does a number of things just automatically that we don't even notice. When a person comes and asks the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ, first of all, he reads the person. Who is it that's asking this question? Because depending on the person that's asking, the answer might differ. You don't give one generic answer to everyone. If someone comes to you and they say, teach me about Islam, and you've never seen the person in the masjid, you see that their appearance might not be someone that does good things, or you might have seen that they have they've made mistakes in their life. Based on that information, you adapt your answer. You don't necessarily tell the person, well, you should give more sadaqah. You know how important sadaqah is? Yes, that's good. But what would have been even better is if you knew that person's situation, and then you adapt that answer accordingly. Another thing that the Prophet ﷺ does is when he's asked, he does not push people away with his answer. Some people, when you ask them a simple question, instead of answering the question, they make fun of you. You're a grown man. How are you asking this? You should know better. The Prophet ﷺ is patient and he's gentle. Another thing that the Prophet ﷺ does is he looks beyond the question. A person came to the Prophet ﷺ and he asked him, Ya Rasulullah ﷺ, when will the last hour be? When will the last hour be? The person was expecting from the Prophet ﷺ to say, it's going to be on Friday, a week from now. Just as an example. He wanted a precise answer. The Prophet ﷺ had another option. He could have said to the man, I don't know. No one knows. But the Prophet ﷺ went beyond that. He looked at the man, he assessed the man, and he said to the man, what have you prepared for it? Instead of worrying about when Qiyamah will be, what have you prepared for Qiyamah? What do you have to show for it? So these are just some ways that the Prophet ﷺ interacts with people. And finally, one thing that the Prophet ﷺ does when people ask him questions is he, in his speech, and this is something that Allah Azza wa Jalla blessed him with, the scholars refer to it as Jawami'ul Kalim. Meaning the Prophet ﷺ is very comprehensive in his statements. He says one or two sentences and he sums up the whole religion. What is more simple than saying believe in Allah and be steadfast? It's easy. But the implementation of it is difficult. It is only easy for the one that Allah Azza wa Jal made it easy for. And if you think about it, The first thing that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned was Iman Billah, to believe in Allah. But again, if you look into it, into detail, you will realize how profound that is. It is not just saying, I believe in Allah. Because the mushrikeen, they said, we believe in Allah, in the Quraysh. If you ask them, Allah Azza wa Jalla says in the Quran, وَلَئِن سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَهُمْ لَيَقُولُنَّ اللَّهِ. Even the mushrikeen, Abu Jahl, if you ask him, who created you? He will tell you, Allah created you. But what the Prophet ﷺ is referring to as Iman Billah, in the proper sense, is to have Tawheed and stay away from all shirk. Not only that, if you delve even deeper into it, we've defined Iman before. What is Iman? Iman is three things. Iman is a statement on the tongue, قول باللسان, and it is اعتقاد بالقلب, a firm conviction in the heart, and it is amal بالجوارح, it is the actions on the limbs. And we said Iman increases and decreases. If you do good, your Iman goes high. If you do bad, your Iman gets low. So you can't have Iman, real Iman, if you don't pray. You can't have Iman, real Iman, if you don't pay zakat. All these things affect the Iman. So it is not as simple as just saying, I believe in Allah. There needs to be actions. Even the shaitan, Iblis himself, when he speaks in the Quran, he says in Surah Hashr, Inni akhafu Allah, wallahu shadidul iqab. Inni akhafu Allah, I fear Allah. Verily, indeed, I fear Allah. Wallahu shadidul iqab. He knows that Allah Azza wa Jalla is the most severe when it comes to punishment. But those are empty words. That doesn't help or benefit Iblis. Why? Because he doesn't follow it up with actions. In the same way, when the munafiqun, when the hypocrites, they say to the Prophet ﷺ, we bear witness, إِنَّكَ لَرَسُولُ اللَّهِ, that you are the messenger of Allah. We bear witness to it. And they say, La ilaha illallah. But they don't come with the actions. And if they come with the actions, their hearts betray them. So subhanAllah, you notice how that simple statement, the Prophet ﷺ is saying, Amantu billah, say, I believe in Allah, which is very profound. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, ثُمَّ اسْتَقِمْ, and then be upright. Istiqama in Islam, it is to be straight. We say when we refer to the path of Allah, we say Siratul Mustaqim, the straight path. La i'wijaj fi, there's no crookedness in it. So this istiqama and mustaqim, it is essential to the religion. Meaning that you follow the religion the way it is. You don't innovate, you don't come with your own things. One thing that I always found strange, sometimes sitting with people of other faiths, as a Muslim, as an Imam, sometimes they ask you, they say, they might quote a verse, an ayah from the Quran, and they tell you, what do you think about this verse? What does this verse tell you? What do you take from this verse? And in Islam, it doesn't work that way. You don't open the Quran and make your own interpretation. You might have a certain connection to certain verses. You feel a verse is very powerful. It talks to you directly in the sense that you might be going through a difficult time in your life. Then you read about the surah of Yusuf alayhi salam, and it has an impact. But we don't go about the Quran opening it and saying, Wallahi, I think this verse, Alif Lam Mim, means this. I feel it in my heart. No, that doesn't work in Islam. Whenever we're faced with a verse from the Quran or even a hadith, we always have to refer back to the Prophet ﷺ and those early companions. What did the Prophet ﷺ say? And the wisdom behind this is to unify people. If you have one authority, one voice on the Quran, then it removes a lot of misunderstandings. Instead of 10 different people saying, I think this verse means this, you try your best to find what the Prophet ﷺ said. If Allah Azza wa Jal wanted to, He could have sent a book, the Quran, without a messenger. Just a book from the sky. Allah Azza wa Jal can do whatever He wants. But the wisdom was that Allah Azza wa Jal sent down the Quran and the messenger to interpret the Quran for us, to put it into action. And when the companion spoke about the Prophet ﷺ, like his wife, she said, كَانَ خُلُقُهُ الْقُرْآنِ, that his mannerism was that of the Quran. So this is the istiqamah, following the religion the way it was revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the actions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there's also another aspect of istiqamah. It is to do with the ta'ah, the obedience of Allah, to keep up the good that you're doing. When we speak of this, we usually refer to another word, tawfiq, which means that Allah Azza wa Jalla is the one that grants the ability to people. When you wake up for Fajr, when you stay up late for Isha, you're not doing it out of your own free will. You're doing it through the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the tawfiq, this is the istiqamah. And what makes it difficult is that doing one good deed once, that's the easy part. You can give sadaqah in the month of Ramadan, $100, $1,000. But to keep that up and do it consistently, maybe not the same amount, but making charity a part of your life, your daily life, it is difficult. If you feel in the month of Ramadan that Allah Azza wa Jalla has blessed you with the ability to recite the Quran, it's easy to finish the Quran in the month of Ramadan. But then it is difficult to keep that up. And the best of deeds, as mentioned by the Prophet ﷺ in other ahadith, the ones that are the most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are the ones that are the most consistent. Allah Azza wa Jalla loves the consistency. That consistency is what ultimately leads to Jannah. So this is just a very simple and basic understanding of this hadith. But as you can see, this hadith, even though it is short, you can talk about it. It touches on all aspects of the religion, every single area. And if you notice the past hadith that we covered, they're all similar. They all touch on very fundamental aspects of the religion. So inshallah, with that we will actually conclude this hadith. And with concluding this hadith, as I mentioned in the beginning, we will take a short pause in the 40 hadith and we will move our focus on to other aspects of the religion, Like we've done before, I am always up for suggestions. If people have any topics, any areas that they find very interesting, they're more than welcome to raise those with me. We have from now until next week, inshallah, to brainstorm and come with some ideas. I have my own ideas, but I would like to hear from the community as well, what people enjoy and find beneficial. And like I said in the beginning, next week there will be a slight change in the classes, but it will be in a way that it benefits the community even more. If anyone has any questions or any small comments they want to make concerning these classes, now is the time to do so.